David Crosswell had always been careful. That's why he was still free. The first time had been unexpected. He hadn't been ready. He hadn't been ready. But missteps could be forgotten. Rewritten. And once no one remembered, it was like it had never happened. At 18, David packed his bags and left his hometown behind. No one questioned why. It was expected. He was going to college. A fresh start, a bright future, everything a young man was supposed to want. A chance to be someone new. Someone better. No one asked about Claire. No one wondered why she stopped showing up. And by the time her name faded from the news, David had already built a new life. A new city. A new campus. New people to watch. New people to test. David knew how to disappear. Not physically, he wasn't hiding. But socially. He knew how to be forgettable. That was the key to survival. At Westbridge University, he wasn't the quiet loner. That would have drawn attention. Instead, he was polite, approachable, normal. He joined study groups. Held open doors. Smiled at professors. And most importantly, he listened. People liked to talk. They shared secrets without realizing. Who was struggling with their grades? Who had no family nearby? Who walked home alone at night? David took note of everything. But he wasn't in a hurry. Not this time. The first mistake had almost cost him everything. This time, he would do it right. David didn't choose the library by accident. It was quiet. Routine. A place where people trusted the silence. Students came and went without thinking twice about who was watching. Who was listening. David started as a part-time assistant, just enough to blend in. He reshelved books, processed late returns, helped freshmen navigate the archives. Nothing unusual. Nothing suspicious. He was just David, the helpful librarian. No one noticed how he memorized names. No one noticed how he learned who stayed late, who studied alone, who never told anyone where they were. And then he found her. Not on purpose. But some things felt too perfect to be coincidence. She wasn't like Claire. That was the first thing David noticed. Claire had been bright, careful, aware. A challenge. But this girl? She was soft-spoken. Distracted. The kind of person who didn't question small changes. The kind of person who didn't realize when she was being watched. Her name was Emily Carter. She came to the library every evening, always at the same time. Always alone. David observed patterns. The way she tucked her hair behind her ear when she was focused. The way she sighed when she was frustrated. The way she stayed lost in thought, unaware of the world around her. She left her bag unattended. Forgot her phone on the desk when she stepped away. She trusted the quiet. Trusted the space. And that's why David knew. There was something about her he couldn't quite ignore. David never rushed things. That was the mistake he had made before. This time, he moved carefully. Patiently. The first step wasn't direct. It was subtle. A misplaced book near Emily's usual seat, one she had been looking for the day before. A casual remark about her coursework, nothing too personal, just enough to seem observant. A friendly, forgettable conversation. She smiled. Thanked him. Didn't think twice about it. That's how trust was built. Not all at once, but piece by piece. And David? David had time. He learned more about her. She was a psychology major. She liked studying people. She thought the mind was fascinating. She believed that everyone had a reason for the way they were. That even the worst people weren't born that way. They were shaped. David smiled at that. If only she knew. Emily wasn't paranoid. She had always been the type to believe in logic, in reason. People didn't just watch you for no reason. People didn't just show up unexpectedly. But something felt off. It started small. A misplaced book. A lingering glance. A moment where she could have sworn someone was behind her, but when she turned, there was no one there. Then came the familiarity. David was always there. Not in a way that was obvious. But when she looked back at her week, her month, she realized how often she had seen him. At the library, sure. That made sense. But other places, too. Once at the coffee shop near her dorm. Another time walking toward campus, just a few steps ahead of her. She told herself it was nothing. Coincidence. But the feeling didn't go away. And that was the thing about gut feelings. They didn't need proof to be right. Emily trusted her instincts. And her instincts told her to create distance. So she did. She changed her routine. Switched her usual library seat. Studied at the cafe instead of the archives. Took a different route home. For a while, it worked. She didn't see David at the coffee shop again. Didn't run into him on campus. Didn't feel that familiar weight of being watched. She let herself breathe. Maybe it really had been nothing. Maybe she had overthought the whole thing. But then, one night, she left the library later than usual. The halls were quiet, almost too quiet. She gathered her things, slung her bag over her shoulder, and stepped out into the cool night air. And that's when she saw him. David. Leaning casually against the bike rack, flipping through a book. He looked up, smiled. Didn't expect to see you this late. Her pulse skipped. She forced a polite smile. Yeah, got caught up with work. David nodded, like he understood. Like it was normal for him to be here at the exact same time. Like he hadn't just appeared out of nowhere. Emily's fingers tightened around her bag strap. She forced herself to stay calm. Say something. Leave. But before she could, David closed the book and stepped forward. Hey, before you go, he said, voice easy, casual. I actually wanted to ask you something. She hesitated. Everything in her screamed walk away. But she didn't. And in that moment, she made her first mistake. She stopped. She listened. And she let him speak. Emily didn't want to stay. She didn't want to talk. But walking away now would be too obvious. Too rude. And David hadn't actually done anything wrong. Not really. So she stayed. Just for a moment. Just long enough to let him ask his question. Do you believe in fate? Her stomach tightened. She wasn't sure what she had expected, but it wasn't that. David watched her, waiting. His expression was open, curious, like this was a normal conversation. Like the two of them were just classmates, just two people chatting outside the library. Emily forced a smile. I don't know, she said carefully. Why? David tilted his head, like he was considering his next words. Because I think some people are meant to meet, he said. Even if they don't realize it at first. Something about the way he said it made her uneasy. Not the words themselves. But the way he looked at her when he said them. Like he already knew how she would respond. Like he had thought about this moment before. Planned for it. Her fingers tightened around her bag strap. She took a step back. Yeah, she said quickly. I should go. Got class early tomorrow. David smiled, easy and relaxed. Of course. See you around, Emily. He said it like a promise. And that was the moment she realized. Avoiding him had never been enough. Because their paths hadn't crossed by chance. He had been waiting. And now? Now, he was done waiting. Emily didn't sleep that night. She told herself she was overreacting. That David was just awkward, not dangerous. That she was letting her nerves get the best of her. But she couldn't shake the feeling. The way he had looked at her. The way he had spoken, like he already knew her answer before she gave it. Like he had been waiting for that moment for a long time. By morning, she had made a decision. She would cut him off completely. No more small talk. No more polite smiles. No more giving him chances to be in her life. She would make it clear, he wasn't part of her world. And for a few days, it seemed to work. David didn't approach her. Didn't show up near her classes. Didn't linger outside the library. It was like he had accepted the distance. But then, on Friday night, she got the text. An unknown number. I liked your blue sweater today. Her blood ran cold. She hadn't worn a blue sweater. Not today. Not any day. She had packed one, though. It was folded neatly inside her dorm closet. She stared at the message, her mind racing. Then, a second text. I passed your room, thought you might be asleep. Didn't want to bother you. Emily's hands shook. She grabbed her keys, her phone, and ran. Emily didn't think. She ran. Down the hall, past the elevator, straight to the stairwell. Her breath was sharp, uneven. She needed to go somewhere public. Somewhere safe. But where? Her fingers tightened around her phone. Call the police. That was the logical thing to do. But what would she say? Someone sent me a creepy text. Would that even be enough? Would they even believe her? She pushed open the dorm's front doors and stepped into the cold night air. Her eyes darted across campus. There were people outside, walking in groups, heading to parties, laughing, unaware. She forced herself to move, to blend in. Walk, don't run. Act normal. She made it 2 blocks before she realized. She had the sense that someone else was nearby. Just out of sight. Like she was being watched. She forced herself not to look back. But she picked up her pace. Faster. Almost there. She reached the main road, spotted the 24-hour diner on the corner, her best chance at safety. She pushed through the doors, the bell above her head jingling. The place was nearly empty. A tired waitress, an older man sipping coffee at the counter. She slid into a booth, hands shaking, heart hammering. She grabbed her phone. Dialed. 911. The line rang once. Twice. Then, a notification popped up on her screen. A new text. You didn't have to run. She dropped the phone. Her breath stopped. She hadn't looked back. Hadn't checked her surroundings. Hadn't seen anyone. So how did he know? Emily's body screamed at her to run. But she didn't. Not yet. She forced herself to breathe. To think. Panic was what he wanted. Fear made people sloppy. And Emily Carter wasn't sloppy. She picked up her phone. The screen still glowed. The text stared back at her. You didn't have to run. She let out a slow breath. He was watching. But from where? She resisted the urge to look around the diner. Don't let him see your fear. Instead, she did something she knew he wouldn't expect. She smiled. And then, she turned off her phone. No more texts. No more control. 1 year later. Emily Carter no longer existed. Not officially. Not in any way that mattered. She had disappeared that night, not in the way he had wanted, but in the way that mattered most. She had erased herself. New name. New city. New life. And yet, she still knew exactly where he was. Because David Crosswell hadn't stopped. She had studied him. Understood him in ways no one else ever had. So when another case hit the news, she recognized the signs. When the news showed a quiet university town, a missing student, a case with no leads, she knew. David had moved on. But he hadn't changed. He never would. And that's why Emily never stopped watching him. From a distance. From the shadows. She had survived. And now? She had become the one who watched from afar.